Hello level casters. Welcome to your weekly update of world news. Let's dive into some of the most important international stories from the week of June 22, 2026. News 1 of 26. First up, in Norway, a recent court case involving Marius Borg Høiby, who was found guilty of rape, has brought new attention to the idea of consent in the digital age. This is important because Norway is known as one of the most equal countries for men and women, but sexual violence is still a big problem there. This case makes people think more about how we understand agreement, especially online. News 2 of 26. Next, in Spain, José Luis Ábalos, who used to be a very important helper to the Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez, has been sent to prison for 24 years. He was found guilty of taking bribes during the time of the COVID pandemic, specifically for public contracts. This is a big problem for Prime Minister Sánchez and his government, showing how serious corruption can be. News 3 of 26. Moving to US-Iran tensions, the situation is becoming more difficult. Talks are strained, but Iran has agreed to let UN nuclear inspectors return. A ceasefire deal was also agreed upon. However, Israel still refuses to leave Lebanon, and the US has launched new attacks after a cargo ship was attacked. This all happens while former President Trump is making threats, making progress very complicated. News 4 of 26. In Montreal, the city's mayor is asking police to stop random checks. This comes as the police force is being investigated because 16 officers are accused of stopping and questioning Black and Arab residents more often than others. This investigation is about racial profiling, which means treating people unfairly because of their race or background. News 5 of 26. European leaders have spoken highly of British Prime Minister Starmer, even though a planned meeting between the EU and the UK has been delayed. Leaders like Ursula von der Leyen, Friedrich Merz, and Volodymyr Zelensky all said that Starmer has helped to make things safer. This shows that the UK and Europe are still working together on important issues, even after Brexit. News 6 of 26. Sadly, Venezuela has experienced deadly earthquakes. Buildings in the capital city and along the coast were destroyed. Rescue teams are working hard to help people. A second earthquake, with a magnitude of 7.5, was the strongest since 1900. The government has declared a state of emergency and is asking people who were affected to share their stories. News 7 of 26. In Mexico, the country's new ambassador to the UK, Alejandro Gertz Manero, has come under scrutiny. His political party, Morena, is known for supporting poorer people and strict spending. However, Mr. Gertz Manero has 10 houses and £1 million worth of jewelry, which seems very different from his party's beliefs. News 8 of 26. Now to Albania, where people are protesting against plans for a new resort backed by Jared Kushner. This project on the island of Sazan, described as a small paradise, has caused a lot of anger. The protests have grown into a bigger movement against the government and the established system, with people calling for a new Albania. News 9 of 26. Bird flu has now spread to South Australia, which is worrying because of the deadly H5N1 virus. There's a confirmed case in South Australia and a possible case in Western Australia. Experts are hoping that strong biosecurity measures, which are ways to prevent diseases from spreading, will protect chickens, other birds, and dairy cows. News 10 of 26. Europe is experiencing a heatwave. Paris has even banned drinking alcohol in public because hospitals are very busy. The UK has had its hottest June day ever, and some parts of France have reached 40 degrees Celsius. This extreme heat has caused deaths in Spain, Italy, and France. News 11 of 26. In the Ukraine war, former US President Trump has said that Ukrainian President Zelensky is doing pretty well against Russia, managing to hold his own. The German Chancellor also said that European countries are showing strong support for Ukraine. This gives us an update on the conflict on day 1583. News 12 of 26. A crisis is brewing for Pope Leo. A small group of Catholics is trying to appoint far-right bishops, which are high-ranking church leaders. This conflict could make the already difficult relationship between the Vatican, which is the Pope's headquarters, and conservative Catholics in the US and around the world even worse. News 13 of 26. A report has found that Russia used a tool from an Israeli company to get into a phone, months after the company said it had stopped working with Russia. This happened in the case of Andrei Pivovarov. This raises questions about how much control the Israeli company, Celebrite, really has over its own software. News 14 of 26. The British disinfectant brand Dettol has apologized after an advertisement in China caused a lot of anger. The advert was about a man trying to find a clean and untouched woman, which many people found offensive and called out as promoting toxic men. Dettol has now removed the advert. News 15 of 26. There's a mystery surrounding the attack on a leader of the Tren de Aragua group. Former U.S. President Trump claimed he was involved in killing Héctor Guerrero Flores, but there are few details. Experts are unsure if this will actually stop the drug trade, and some question Trump's claim, linking it to U.S. mining plans in Venezuela. News 16 of 26. A large wildfire has started on moorland near Greater Manchester in the UK. The fire on Tintwistle Moor, Glossop, has burned over 500 square meters. This has led to roads being closed and warnings about smoke in the air. Firefighters are working to control the blaze. News 17 of 26. China's leader, Xi Jinping, has hosted more than a dozen world leaders this year. This shows that middle powers, countries that are not the very biggest but still important, are starting to look beyond the United States for leadership. Xi Jinping wants to offer a different way of organizing the world, and some say the US's unpredictable actions are helping him. News 18 of 26. Healthcare workers in Canada have called an email from their employer a cruel hoax. The email promised a fake day off as part of a cybersecurity test. Unions have said this was insensitive, especially for healthcare staff in Newfoundland and Labrador who work very hard. News 19 of 26. A former Brexit negotiator, Michel Barnier, has said that the UK could rejoin the European Union quite quickly if it wanted to. He also mentioned that the UK could join a new European group focused on security and defence. This offers a new idea about the future relationship between the UK and the EU. News 20 of 26. A UN investigation has found that Israel continues to commit genocide by targeting children in Gaza. The independent report states that by aiming at children, Israel is making it impossible for the Palestinian people to continue to exist as a group. This is a very serious accusation. News 21 of 26. U.S. Secretary of State Rubio has arrived for a meeting in the Gulf region. He is trying to assure countries like the UAE, Kuwait, and Bahrain that the Strait of Hormuz, an important shipping route, will remain free for ships to pass. He is also discussing security and the U.S.-Iran ceasefire deal. News 22 of 26. In Montreal, a nightmare shooting has left 3 people dead. This includes a police officer and a person who was not involved in the shooting. Videos show the suspect, who had a long gun, shooting at police in the Côte des Neiges area. News 23 of 26. A Kenyan minister has ordered a stop to the building of a U.S. Ebola facility. The minister, Aden Duale, was previously found to be ignoring a court order to stop the work. This decision comes after he was held in contempt of court for not following the earlier ruling. News 24 of 26. In recession-hit Argentina, there's a growing problem with off-duty police officers working second jobs. They kill and die more in these situations. Many are working as rideshare drivers while carrying their government-issued guns, which leads to dangerous outcomes. News 25 of 26. A swimming lake in Germany, Heidesee Lake in Halle, is being criticized for banning people who don't speak German. This rule was put in place after some visitors ignored rules and the instructions of lifeguards. This has caused a lot of discussion about language and public spaces. News 26 of 26. Finally, Wolfgang Porsche, a very rich man connected to the Porsche car company, is selling his historic villa in Salzburg, Austria. This comes after an argument about his plan to build a private 500-meter tunnel through a hill. His plan caused a lot of anger among local people. Outro. That's all for this week's Levelcast World News. We hope this update helps you understand global events and improve your English. Keep learning, and we'll see you next time on Levelcast.